Hello, everyone. Henry Becker with Lighthouse Wealth Management. Actually coming to you from a different venue, actually at my home office. I've been working from the house for a couple weeks now, pop into the office periodically, but for the most part, I can do most of my job from home. I actually share my home office with my wife, who even before coronavirus, she's worked from home. The company she works for is a distributed company, meaning there is no office per se for anybody. They work all over the world from their homes or wherever they want to. So before I get into the content of the video, primary content, I'm going to talk about what's over my shoulder right here, which is a puzzle. And the puzzle, it's a 1,000-piece puzzle. Actually, there's two of them. There's another one off screen right over my other shoulder that you can't see. They're both 1,000-piece puzzles from, I think it's White Mountain Puzzles. We built these a few years ago, and both of them are ski badge stickers, or ski badges or stickers. I'd say most of them are stickers, but some are badges. You can tell from what they are. But it's a collage of those ski badges or ski stickers. And us being a skiing family, we decided they were awesome and built them, glued them together, and framed them, and hung them on a wall. The reason I pointed out is when my wife's doing video conferencing with her coworkers, a lot of them ask about, what is that over your shoulder? So if somebody's has any curiosity about what's over my shoulder, now you know. So let's get into the content. So typically in June or July, we do a halftime report on the markets. So this is going to be a bit of a halftime report and a little discussion on some of the disparity we're seeing in the market. So now I'm up in your little corner, but we're looking at my desktop at the office, and what we see is the S&P 500, and this is all through June 11th, which was a bit of a stinker of a day, Thursday. I'm recording this on Friday, June 12th. So as of the close on the 11th, the S&P was down 6.12%. Most of that came on Thursday, the 11th, which was a pretty nasty downside day for the market. Actually, the market had turned slightly positive for the year at the close on Tuesday of the week that we're in at the time of recording. But the point here is, when we look at the S&P 500, we see that the return, again, as of the 11th, was down 6.12. But we also have here the average return of the constituents of the S&P 500. So the 500 holdings that are in the S&P 500, the average return is negative 14.2. And that kind of goes along with the point of the conversation, which is the S&P is being led by a very small number of stocks. And you've probably heard this in the media, but sometimes it's good to have a look at it and really see it in action. So what we have here is the S&P 500 sorted by the weighted return, right? The highest going to the lowest. We have the total return for each holding, and then what the weight of each holding is in the S&P 500. So we can see that Apple and Microsoft are, we'll call it, 4%. Amazon's roughly 3%. So these are three of the biggest holdings in the S&P. And as you can see, if we were to remove their weighted return, it would significantly reduce the total return of the S&P 500. It's the top 10 returns are making up more than half of the overall return in the S&P. So this is, when people are talking about, well, there's a big difference between the S&P 500 or the market, air quote market, and the economy. What's really not as big as you think, because the S&P is being led by a very small number of tech stocks. But not only are they tech stocks, but they're tech stocks that are kind of, I can't say they're benefiting, but they're holding up really well or doing well in the current coronavirus world where we're at home and relying on technology and those types of things. So the idea that we have a huge disparity between the market and the economy, yes, on the surface it's true, but if you dig a little deeper, it's not quite as big as you think. The next disparity I want to talk about, and we're going to flip over to, bear with me for a second, I'll flip over to my actual desktop computer here in my house. So give me a second. So now we flipped over to my actual computer, and we're looking at the S&P 500 by sectors that they're invested in. So we see 26% of the S&P 500 is invested in information technology, 14% is in healthcare, and so forth. Communication, 10%. Communication, that's going to be Facebook and companies like that, Twitter and those types of things. And then also your, T-Mobile, Verizon, so forth. Consumer discretionary, you're going to find Amazon actually is in there. So you can see that, the S&P is led by the one place in the world the last 5 to 10 years that everybody's wanted to be invested in, which is U.S. technology, right? Google, Amazon, Facebook, Netflix. They're U.S. companies, but they're global. I mean, people all over the world use that technology and are, again, I can't say benefit, but they're doing well and holding up well in the current environment. Now, we can contrast that with EAFE, EAFE. And what this is the Developed Market International Index. So EAFE means Europe, Asia, Far East. So basically, this is invested in, this is the Developed International Index that's invested in Europe, Canada, Australia, Japan, New Zealand, these countries. And what you see is the biggest holding is financials, industrials, healthcare, right? Now, as I said, the place everybody's wanted to be over the last 5 to 10 years is U.S. technology. The place nobody's wanted to invest in over the last 5 to 10 years are European financial stocks, especially the banks, which have been a disaster. So we have a huge disparity between the international index and the U.S. index because of more or less just look at the top content of each. One is very desirable and one is exceedingly not desirable. So it explains when you hear, nobody wants in the international markets, they want, domestic, U.S. There's some rationale for it. Now, that doesn't mean there's not good international stocks out there. I mean, there are companies, obviously companies like the Swiss company Nestle, great stock to hold. We have Toyota, we have SAP, the German tech company. We have Siemens, the German tech industrial company. I mean, there's some good companies out there, but by and large, the EAFE, the Europe, Asia, Far East Index, as you can see, is mostly part of financials, industrials, and healthcare, which is really not a great place to be. So therefore, you get that knock on international markets as not a desirable place to invest currently. So obviously, the market's not done exceedingly well this year, and we haven't really expected it to. Going forward, we are expecting that as the virus goes, probably so goes the economy and the markets. We're certainly optimistic for therapies or vaccines for the coronavirus, but as we wait for that, obviously we're all doing the best we can in current marketplace. So one thing I'll share with you, though, it occurred to me, not everybody knows about this, and almost everybody I tell is like, wow, that's pretty interesting. So I'm flipping over to, this is what I see pretty much every day when I open up my computer. It's a tab. Now, this is, I guess, a little tidbit of information for you. So whether you use Google, Chrome, or Firefox as your internet search browser, you can add an extension called the Momentum extension. And the Momentum extension, as you can see, brings in a beautiful picture every day, tells you the time. You can even set it for 24-hour clock time if you want. You can pick different places around the world, your temperature, gives you a great quote for the day and who it came from, tells you where the picture's from. You can actually even have a little affirmation or whatever you want to call it in there. I like it. I figured I'd share it. It's just one of those things, when you flip it on every day, it always brings a smile to my face. Almost everything I see on here, whether it's the picture or the little quotes of the day, what have you. So the Momentum extension, you might want to look at adding it to your computer. So hopefully you got a little bit of flavor for the Becker home office. Again, hopefully if you like such thing, the momentum app's great. And then, as I said, with the markets, we're just hanging in there the best we can. The market is, and doing our best for clients as we can. So feel free to reach out with any questions, issues, concerns. We're always here for you. Like as we've said, the office is open. We have, if you haven't looked, go to our website and take a look. We have little instructions on, visits to the office, requirements and so forth, which door to come in, which one to go out. Some of us are working from home, some of us are home and office, but overall we're there. And if you need us, feel free to reach out. Have a good day. Have a great weekend.